They say nice guys finish last, but have you ever asked why? It's not because the world is cruel, it's because the world is strategic. Power flows to those who understand how it works, not to those who hope it will be fair. Niccolò Machiavelli didn't write for the wicked. He wrote for the aware. He showed that winning isn't about being loved, it's about being respected. And respect in this world is built on perception, silence, timing, and control. In this video, we combine Machiavelli's hard truths with the emotional discipline of Stoic philosophy. You'll learn why fear often beats love, how to control your image before others control your fate, and how to move like the fox, sharp and unnoticed, and strike like the lion, strong and precise. If you've ever felt used, ignored, or weakened by your need for approval, this is your wake-up call. This isn't about becoming heartless, it's about becoming wise. So if you're ready to stop playing checkers in a world built on chess, hit like, subscribe, and let's begin.
Number 1.
Fear over love. Most people misunderstand what Machiavelli meant when he wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." They hear fear and assume it means domination, cruelty, or oppression. But Machiavelli wasn't speaking to tyrants. He was speaking to anyone who wants to lead, protect their position, or survive in a competitive world. What he meant was this: love is conditional, but fear, defined as respect, boundaries, and gravitas, is predictable, stable, and far less fragile. Love depends on the feelings of others, and feelings are unreliable. They shift with moods, gossip, envy, or unmet expectations. A person who once praised you might turn against you the moment they feel slighted or left out. But fear, in the philosophical sense, is about being taken seriously. It's not about making people cower. It's about ensuring that your presence carries weight, that your voice is not ignored, that your boundaries are not negotiable. The Stoics, though often associated with peace and virtue, understood this too. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher, never once asked the people of Rome to love him. He sought to be just, to be measured, and to be respected. Epictetus went further. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because seeking approval leads to dependence, and dependence erodes power. When your worth is tied to being liked, you make yourself small. You soften your words, you abandon your standards. True strength, both in Machiavelli's world and in Stoic practice, comes from inner clarity, from the ability to act according to principle, not popularity. Take someone like Steve Jobs. Was he warm? Not always. Was he liked? Not by everyone. But was he respected? Absolutely. Because he didn't chase approval, he chased vision. And in doing so, he built something that outlasted charisma. His presence demanded excellence. He set the tone, and others adjusted accordingly. This doesn't mean you should be heartless, quite the opposite. Stoicism teaches us that cruelty is weakness, wearing the mask of strength. You must govern your emotions. You must choose calm over outburst, principle over impulse. But you must also be willing to disappoint, to say no, to walk away, because being respected often begins the moment you're willing to stop being liked. To apply this in real life, don't try to make everyone comfortable. Make yourself clear, be warm, yes, but don't be afraid to let others feel the edge of your standards. Speak calmly, but don't bend. Show empathy, but enforce boundaries. The modern world is filled with noise, neediness, and constant emotional bargaining. In that chaos, the person who commands quiet respect, who doesn't explain their every move, who doesn't seek applause, stands out like a lighthouse in the storm. Fear, when grounded in integrity, is not something to avoid. It is something to earn, through discipline, through boundaries, through the power of restraint. Love is beautiful, but respect is enduring. And in the long run, it is respect that keeps your position secure, your peace intact, and your value unquestioned.
Number 2.
Perception is reality. You can live a life of integrity. You can have the purest intentions, the most disciplined routines, the highest values. But if the world perceives you as weak, uncertain, or small, you will be treated accordingly. That's the harsh truth Machiavelli laid bare. And that's the truth the Stoics quietly accepted. Because people do not respond to your soul, they respond to your signal, to what you project, not what you feel. Machiavelli understood the theater of power. He knew that people judged not by the content of your character, but by the strength of your presence, and unless you take control of your image, someone else will. That's why he warned, everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. This isn't deception, it's recognition. You must learn to own your narrative before someone writes it for you. Stoicism, while less concerned with public image, teaches a complementary lesson. Your peace cannot rely on other people's opinions, but your position often does. Seneca, one of Rome's wealthiest and most influential figures, wrote in his letters that while we must not seek reputation, we must not neglect it either, because how the world perceives us often determines what we are allowed to do, and to pretend otherwise is to live in fantasy. Perception is power, and power, whether internal or external, is about alignment. If your presence doesn't match your truth, you create friction. If you're strong but appear passive, people will test you. If you're wise but appear uncertain, people will dismiss you. And if you're capable but appear needy, people will take advantage of you. Therefore, cultivating an aura of calm confidence is not arrogance. It's self-defense. Look at Oprah Winfrey. Her journey wasn't just about personal transformation. It was about mastering perception. She built her brand not by begging to be seen, but by showing up with conviction. Her posture, her voice, her presence, they were all intentional. She made people believe in her vision because she believed in herself. That is what Machiavelli meant by controlling perception, and that is what the Stoics meant by inner coherence. But there's a trap here. Many chase perception without substance. They post quotes they don't live by. They wear the mask of confidence while privately collapsing. That's not power, that's theater. True power begins inside. The Stoic cultivates character first, then image, and that image is shaped by consistency. When your words and your actions align, your presence becomes undeniable. To practice this, don't over-explain. Let your actions speak before your mouth does. Don't chase validation. Demonstrate value. Stand tall. Move with purpose. Speak with clarity, not for applause, but to train your identity to match your essence. Every moment you choose posture over panic, calm over chaos, restraint over reaction, you solidify your presence, and presence in this noisy world is rare, and rare is respected. Perception, when grounded in truth, is not manipulation, it is expression. When you refine your signal, the world adjusts, not because you demand it, but because they feel it. Number 3, be the fox and the lion. Machiavelli gave us one of his most iconic metaphors when he said, "A ruler must learn how to act like both a fox and a lion, for the lion cannot defend himself against traps, and the fox cannot defend himself against wolves." It's not just poetic, it's a manual for survival. Life demands duality. If you lean too far into brute strength, you get blindsided. If you rely only on cleverness, you get overpowered. Wisdom is knowing when to be silent and when to strike. To move through life effectively, you must first accept that not everyone is honest, not everyone plays fair, and not every threat is loud. Some threats wear smiles, some betrayals come wrapped in charm. The fox sees the trap before it's set. The lion makes sure it's never set again. These aren't just animal traits, they are mental postures, one of observation, the other of presence. One detects danger, the other demands respect. The Stoics wouldn't use animal metaphors, but the idea is familiar. Epictetus taught, "Appearances are deceptive. Remember that not all is as it seems." He warned us to question what we see, to challenge surface impressions, and to act only after judgment has been sharpened. That's the fox. Calculated, thoughtful, impossible to bait. But the lion shows up too. In Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, we see the firm discipline of leadership, the refusal to be bullied by chaos, the strength to hold position when others fold. That is the lion's domain, stoic, unmoved, grounded. However, what often goes unspoken is this: foxes suffer when they overthink, lions suffer when they overreact. The fox, caught in endless analysis, hesitates and misses the right moment. The lion, driven by instinct, charges without foresight. Both are incomplete alone. When you combine cunning with courage, strategy with strength, calculation with confidence, you become someone no one can predict and no one can corner. Now consider someone like Elon Musk. You might agree with his choices or you might not, but what's undeniable is his ability to operate in both lanes. He predicts traps in business, fox, but he also makes bold, unwavering moves, lion. He navigates legal systems, media narratives, and global markets with foresight, and when necessary, he exerts raw will to push through opposition. People respond to that, not because it's perfect, but because it's strategic. His unpredictability isn't chaos, it's design. To cultivate this in yourself, start by slowing down your reactions, observe people longer, ask fewer questions out loud, and more questions in silence. Watch what people reward and what they tolerate. Learn who flatters you and who challenges you. That's fox wisdom. Then when you decide without hesitation. Speak with gravity, move with full presence. Make people feel that when you commit, you mean it. That's lion authority. Being the fox alone will keep you clever. Being the lion alone will make you feared. But being both, measured, calculating, and unshakably bold, will make you unforgettable. And in a world that's always watching, that's how you stay one step ahead, while never losing yourself.
Number 4.
Conceal your intentions. Machiavelli warned us clearly. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot protect himself from wolves. Therefore, one must be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. But how does the fox survive in a world full of sharp eyes and sharper tongues? The answer: by never revealing its next move. Power is not just about what you do, it's about what others think you might do. And the less they know, the more control you have. To reveal your ambitions too early is to hand your leverage away. People can only sabotage what they can predict. When they know what you want, they know how to stop you. When they can't read you, they hesitate, they guess, and every second they guess is a second you own the game. This is not paranoia, it's precision. In a world obsessed with sharing, true power belongs to the silent. The Stoics would agree, not out of fear, but out of discipline. Epictetus taught, "Let silence be your general rule, or say only what is necessary and in few words." Seneca urged us to be careful with speech, warning that once words are released, they cannot be recalled. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." And this includes the opinions of others. Oversharing gives away your mental edge, because every opinion you invite becomes a new weight to carry. But there's more. Speaking your plans creates a false sense of progress. Your brain, tricked by external affirmation, relaxes. The urgency to execute fades, and what felt like momentum becomes inertia. The Stoic doesn't speak to be praised. he acts to be transformed. Real power moves in silence. Consider Jeff Bezos. Before Amazon became a global force, he made his boldest decisions quietly. He didn't seek applause or make noise about his next strategy. He observed, moved patiently, and executed with precision. His success wasn't built on declarations, it was built on discipline. The fewer people who understood his full plan, the less resistance he encountered. He let results speak, and when they did, no one could ignore them. But this goes beyond business. In your daily life, the same rule applies. Stop telling everyone what you're building. Stop explaining why you're making certain changes. When you constantly announce your goals, you invite judgment, distraction, and premature doubt. And worse, if you don't follow through, you lose credibility, not just with others, but with yourself. Discipline isn't loud. It's quiet, consistent, and powerful beneath the surface. Instead, let your growth be felt, not broadcasted. Let your discipline become visible through change, not through announcements. Move like water, shaping, adapting, and flowing quietly until the result speaks louder than any sentence could. The Stoics taught self-restraint, not to be mysterious, but to remain in control of the one thing that cannot be taken: your mind. To practice this, start holding more things close. When you're excited about an idea, let it mature in silence before you share it. When you're planning a shift, build momentum privately. The longer you delay the reveal, the sharper your execution will be. Because while others are talking, you'll be preparing. And by the time they notice, it will already be too late to stop you.
Number 5.
Master your emotions. The man who cannot control his emotions is owned by anyone who can trigger them. That is the brutal law of power, and Machiavelli understood it long before modern psychology gave it a name. He knew that the appearance of strength begins with internal restraint. If your mood shifts with every insult, if your energy drains with every slight, then no matter how intelligent or talented you are still a slave, and slaves never lead. They only react. This is where Stoicism steps in, not to suppress emotions, but to govern them. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." To the Stoic, emotions are signals, not commands. Anger, fear, envy, pride. These feelings are natural, but they must pass through the filter of reason. Because when they control you, you're no longer thinking, you're leaking. And power that leaks is power that disappears. The more reactive you are, the more predictable you become. And the more predictable you are, the easier you are to control. That's why emotional mastery is not just about self-help. It's about sovereignty. People who stay composed don't just win arguments. They avoid traps entirely. They don't get baited. They don't escalate. They hold the frame. And that frame becomes the dominant energy in the room. Imagine being in a room with someone who never gets flustered, never raises their voice, never shows desperation. You begin to lean in. You begin to respect their stillness. That's not coldness, it's gravity, and gravity pulls everything toward it. Real leaders understand this. They don't allow outside noise to shake their inner framework, because when others panic, they stay poised, and that makes them impossible to manipulate. Take Barack Obama. Whether or not you agree with his politics, his composure is nearly legendary. In moments of national crisis, scandal, or intense criticism, he rarely responded emotionally. He chose his words slowly. He kept his body language open. He didn't allow his opponents or the public to see him unravel. That calm wasn't a lack of emotion. It was emotional mastery, the kind of quiet control that commands attention without asking for it. The key is not to feel less, it's to react less. Emotions are data, but you must decide what to do with them. The Stoics practiced daily reflection to keep their feelings in check. Seneca advised writing at night, reviewing every action, and asking, where did I lose my temper? Where did I act from impulse, not reason? That's the discipline. Pausing, noticing, adjusting, not perfection, just presence. To master your emotions, start with small moments. When someone interrupts you, pause before responding. When criticism hits, observe your heartbeat before defending yourself. When envy rises, ask yourself, what does this reveal about what I value? The goal is to create space between feeling and action, and in that space, you reclaim your power. Because the person who can stay calm in chaos, who can absorb heat without flinching, becomes magnetic. People follow them not because they shout, but because they don't have to. And in a world full of noise, stillness becomes a signal. It tells the world, you are not driven by emotion. You drive it. Number 6, reject the need for approval. There's a subtle addiction most people never question, the need to be liked. It hides under politeness. It masks itself as empathy. It sounds like, I just want peace, or I don't want to upset anyone. But behind those phrases often lies a deeper truth. Fear of being judged, fear of being excluded, fear of standing alone. And Machiavelli understood this better than most. He knew that the moment you crave approval, you give away your power, because what people can give you, they can also withhold. In his world, a leader who sought to please everyone, please no one, strength was not measured by how many smiled at you, but by how little your decisions were swayed by their frowns. The Stoics echoed this truth across time. Epictetus warned, if you want to be free, don't wish for things to go your way. Wish instead to be strong enough to go theirs. He wasn't speaking of rebellion. He was teaching mental liberation from the opinions of others. Approval is a moving target. What one person praises, another condemns. You wear one outfit, they say you've changed. You speak your mind, they say you're difficult. You stay silent, they say you're weak. There is no winning in the court of public opinion, but there is peace in walking out of it entirely. And that peace begins the moment you stop performing for validation and start aligning with conviction. But there's more at stake here than comfort. The need to be liked makes you vulnerable. People sense when you want their favor, and they use it to control you. They withhold praise to keep you compliant. They give compliments to steer your choices. The Stoic sees through this. He doesn't harden, he detaches, he doesn't chase approval. He stands firm in principle. That's real clarity, that's real power. Look at J.K. Rowling. At the peak of her career, with global adoration and millions of admirers, she chose to speak her truth, knowing it would cost her approval, applause, even support from longtime fans. Whether or not you agree with her stance, what's undeniable is her willingness to endure rejection for the sake of alignment. That's not ego, that's sovereignty. The Stoics taught that true confidence doesn't come from applause. It is built in silence, moment by moment. By choosing integrity over comfort, Marcus Aurelius wrote, ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions. What people think of you is not your identity. What you value, how you respond. Those are, to live this out, start by noticing where you shrink. When you say yes but mean no. When you stay silent just to be liked, that's not diplomacy. It's self-abandonment, and it always costs more than it pays. Your job is not to be understood by everyone. Your job is to become someone who doesn't need to be. Approval is a leash, and the Stoic cuts the leash, not with noise, but with stillness. You don't need applause to walk your path. You just need the courage to walk it, especially when no one claps. Number 7, strategic action and patience. In a world obsessed with speed, urgency has become the new form of weakness. People rush because they fear being left behind. They react because silence feels unbearable. But Machiavelli understood something most people forget. Power is not found in movement, it's found in timing. The one who moves constantly is not powerful. The one who moves deliberately is. He wrote, "Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times." But changing with the times does not mean chasing every trend or jumping at every opportunity. It means learning to read the temperature of life. It means waiting when others panic and striking when others hesitate. Patience in this context is not passivity, it's pressure building. The longer you wait, the more strength you accumulate. And when that strength is finally released, it doesn't scatter, it lands. The Stoics practiced this same kind of stillness. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the discipline of pausing, about holding back from action until the right moment. No random actions, no unnecessary words, he reminded himself. Seneca taught that impatience often creates the very problems we're trying to avoid. To him, the wise person isn't passive. He's measured. He's composed, like an archer holding the bowstring, waiting for the opening, calm under tension. This is why the most dangerous person in any room is often the one who does the least talking, who watches quietly, who chooses their timing with ruthless clarity. Because stillness is not weakness, it's strategy. The Stoic who waits with full awareness builds more leverage in one moment than the impulsive man creates in 100. Now consider Warren Buffett. His investment philosophy isn't built on speed, but on selective aggression. He waits, he watches. While others jump at the market's every twitch, he remains still. And when he moves with full conviction, because the preparation is already complete. He once said, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." But this principle stretches far beyond money. It applies to influence, to respect, to power, to inner peace. Most people sabotage themselves through restless effort. They confuse motion with progress. They fill the silence with noise because they're uncomfortable being still. But the Stoic learns to wait, not because he's lazy, but because he's strategic. He understands that every movement must be grounded in clarity, not impulse, because motion without meaning is distraction, and distraction is the death of depth. To live this out, pause before you post. Don't react to every message. Let ideas mature before sharing them. When you feel the urge to act quickly, ask, is this coming from clarity or from fear? The more you resist the pull of urgency, the more you'll sharpen your edge, and the sharper your edge, the fewer moves you need to make. You begin to act less, but win more. This is not about inaction, it's about intention. You are not here to run laps for validation. You are here to build something that lasts, and things that last are not rushed. They are shaped in silence, carved by thought, and delivered with precision. Let the world sprint. You are not in a race. You are building a legacy, one move at a time, one choice at a time, quiet, focused, unshakable. Number 8, winning is continuous. Machiavelli understood a truth that most people only learn after they've lost everything. Power is not something you gain once and then keep forever. It decays. It is borrowed from the moment, and the moment is always changing. That's why he warned that fortune is a woman, and if you wish to control her, you must treat her roughly. What he meant was this: comfort is dangerous. Success invites complacency. And the second you stop sharpening your edge, someone else is preparing to cut deeper. The Stoics echoed this mindset in a different form. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He wasn't just talking about resilience. He was reminding himself that challenges are not interruptions. They are part of the path, and the path never ends. Even for an emperor, there is no finish line. There is only continued refinement, continued effort, continued presence. The most successful people in any field don't relax once they win. They evolve, they reframe success not as a place to arrive, but as a state to maintain. Take Serena Williams. After achieving more than most athletes in history, she didn't rest on legacy. She trained harder, she studied more, she became more strategic with every year because she understood that today's excellence is tomorrow's standard. And if you don't rise with it, you fall behind it. Here's where most people lose their momentum. They confuse a single victory with lasting control. They think getting the job, the partner, the recognition means they've arrived. But nothing is static. Your influence, your mindset, your discipline. It either sharpens or dulls depending on how you tend to it. The Stoic doesn't celebrate too long. He doesn't assume stability. He sees every success as the beginning of a new standard, a new responsibility, a new test of discipline. Machiavelli might say, adapt or be replaced. The Stoics would say, reflect or be ruled. Both point to the same truth. Complacency is the enemy of longevity, and it often shows up quietly. You begin to skip the small disciplines. You let your standards loosen just slightly. You stop listening as closely, observing as sharply, questioning as deeply. And without realizing it, you're no longer winning. You're just coasting, and coasting always leads downhill. To practice this, don't ask yourself if you've made it. Ask yourself what must be maintained, what must be upgraded, what must be let go. Don't assume what worked yesterday will still work tomorrow. Revisit your values, audit your habits, sharpen your mind, refresh your routine, because success is not a title, it is a practice, a mindset, a constant adjustment toward clarity and strength. You don't need to fear losing, you need to fear stopping, because when you stop evolving, the world keeps spinning and it will leave you behind. Stay alert, stay focused, stay aware, not because you're desperate, but because you're disciplined. Winning isn't a moment, it's a rhythm. And if you want to keep it, you must keep moving with it. Consciously, consistently, without apology. Now you see, winning isn't about loud victories or flashy moments. It's about mastering yourself, reading the room, protecting your energy, and staying 2 moves ahead. It's about becoming someone who doesn't just react to life, but orchestrates it. That's what Machiavelli hinted at, and what the Stoics lived out daily: quiet power, strategic stillness, ruthless clarity. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to be liked to be respected. What you need is focus, intention, and the courage to move differently. So the next time you feel pressured to explain, to rush, to prove, pause. Remember what you've built here. These aren't just lessons. They're tools. Use them, sharpen them, and above all, live them. If this video shifted your perspective, share it with someone who's ready to move through life with more discipline and less noise. And subscribe, because this path isn't about one lesson. It's about becoming unshakable, day by day, choice by choice.